Το Συνέδριο Κοινής Δράσης για την Προαγωγή Υγείας και την Πρόληψη Ασθενειών, ο ρόλος του καπνίσματος, θα προσφωνήσει η αντιπρίτανης Ακαδημαϊκών Διεθνών Σχέσεων και Εξωστρέφειας, καθηγήτρια Σοφία Παπαϊωάννου.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. The conference Joint Action for Health Promotion and Disease Prevention, the Role of Smoking, will be opened by Professor Sofia Papaioannou, Vice Rector for Academic and International Affairs and Extraversion.
Καλησπέρα σας. Good evening. Honorable Commissioner for Health and Animal Welfare of the European Union, Mr. Olivier Varhelyi, Dear Dean of the School of Health Sciences of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, Professor Paigon Alayu, Dear Chair of the Medical School of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, Professor Nikolaos Arkadopoulos, Dear Mr. Andrew Black, Head of the Technical Secretariat of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, Dear Mrs. Christina Maria Kravari, representative of the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic and Secretary General for Public Health, Dear Professor Steve Hernandez, Secretary General for Public Health of Catalonia, Dear Assistant Professor Konstantinos Vardavas, Coordinator of the Joint Action SAFE and member of the Medical School of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, Dear Dr. Guido Weiler, Regional Director for Europe for Prevention and Health Promotion of the World Health Organization. I hope I didn't forget anyone important. Distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear students and friends, it is with great pleasure and a deep sense of responsibility that I welcome you on behalf of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens to this important event dedicated to the Joint Action for Health Promotion and Disease Prevention, JA SAFE, an initiative of great significance for public health with a particular focus on the role of tobacco as key determinant of health outcomes. The GA SAFE initiative exemplifies the spirit of European cooperation and solidarity. It seeks to strengthen the common framework for prevention, early intervention, and intersectional collaboration in health. Its goal is to bring together the efforts of member states, universities, research institutions, and policymakers, ensuring that health promotion becomes a fundamental pillar of modern social policy and sustainable development. The theme of today's meeting, the impact of tobacco on health, remains of critical importance. Despite remarkable achievements in public health, tobacco use continues to be one of the most persistent and devastating threats worldwide. Every year, millions of people lose their lives to tobacco-related diseases, placing a tremendous burden not only on healthcare systems, but also on social cohesion, productivity, and the well-being of our communities. Addressing this complex challenge requires political determination, scientific rigor, and sustained cooperation among institutions, researchers, and citizens. Prevention is not merely a medical intervention, it is an investment in human capital, an act of responsibility towards future generations, and the cornerstone of a fairer and healthier society. Through JA SAFE, we have the opportunity to advance this collective vision by fostering a strong European network of expertise, innovation, and shared knowledge. We can more effectively address risk factors, foremost among them tobacco, and promote comprehensive, evidence-based strategies for health promotion and disease prevention. Greece, and the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens in particular, are proud to contribute to this endeavor. Our university, the oldest and one of the largest in Greece, has always placed public health, social responsibility, and scientific excellence at the core of this mission. In collaboration with national authorities and European partners, we actively support research, education, and awareness initiatives that encourage healthy lifestyles and reduce the burden of preventable diseases. Nevertheless, we all recognize that challenge is ongoing. The fight against tobacco requires constant vigilance and collaboration across all sectors of society. As an academic institution, we are committed to cultivating a culture of prevention, empowering citizens through science, and supporting policies that place health and well-being at the center of social progress. Today's event, as a living example of this commitment, is a living example of this commitment. It offers a valuable platform for exchange, reflection, and joint planning, an opportunity to assess achievements, identify challenges, and set shared goals for the future. On behalf of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, I extend my sincere gratitude to all organizers, especially Professor Vardavas, speakers, and participants for their contribution to this vital dialogue. May today's discussions inspire new ideas, strengthen partnerships, and move us closer to our shared aspiration, a smoke-free society centered on people, knowledge, and health. Thank you very much.
Βιντεοσκοπημένος χαιρετισμός και κήρυξη της έναρξης των εργασιών της Κοινής Δράσης από τον Επίτροπο Υγείας και Καλής Μεταχείρισης των Ζώων της Ευρωπαϊκής Ένωσης, Oliver Varhelyi.
Video address and official opening of the joint action will be delivered by Mr. Oliver Varhelyi, European Commissioner for Health and Animal Welfare.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to address you today's kickoff meeting. Non-communicable diseases place a heavy burden on our society. Together, cancer and cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of premature death in Europe. This joint action has an ambitious goal to reduce this burden. This starts with prevention, because many of these diseases are preventable. That's why one of my priorities is to strengthen prevention. We are not starting from scratch, so I want to build on the actions we have done until now. For instance, the Healthier Together initiative. It supports member states and stakeholders in addressing non-communicable diseases and their risk factors. This is done through cooperation between member states, such as the joint actions Jakarta and Prevent NCD, as well as through stakeholder-led projects. Now, we are beginning these different strands together to create a comprehensive EU cardiovascular health plan. It is important that all these initiatives work in synergy where they share the same aims. The EU cardiovascular health plan will support actions that promote heart health from an early age. This includes protecting children and young people from the influence and harm of tobacco and nicotine products. And it will help bring tobacco control in the EU up to date with how the market has evolved. I do not need to tell you how harmful smoking is for our health. Inhaling smoke, whether actively or secondhand, causes around 20% of coronary heart diseases, and it is a major risk factor for cancer. We have made progress on reducing smoking in the EU, in part due to the EU's tobacco control framework. but smoking rates remain high, particularly in young people. If we look at 15-year-olds, more than 1 in 6 smoke a cigarette at least once per month. And it's not just cigarettes either. Other products, like e-cigarettes and nicotine pouches, are getting more and more popular. These products are marketed aggressively to young people, especially on social media. And we know that they are a risk to our health too, aside from serving as a gateway to addiction. In order to address these challenges, the Commission is currently evaluating our rules on tobacco control. The Council recommendation on smoke and aerosol-free environments is an essential part of this work. It's about protecting vulnerable groups like children and young people from secondhand smoke and aerosol in public spaces. They should not have to worry about these things when going to school or playing outside. That's why, with nearly 13 million euro from the EU for Health programme, this joint action will support Member States as they turn this recommendation into reality. This will also involve scaling up interventions to help smokers quit and providing tools on disease prevention for healthcare professionals and health literacy for patients. Ladies and gentlemen, today marks a significant step forward for preventing non-communicable diseases, for strengthening public health policies, and for protecting the health of our next generation. I wish you an excellent kick-off meeting and success in your work ahead. Thank you.
Χαιρετισμός από την κοσμήτωρα της Σχολής Επιστημών Υγείας του Πανεπιστημίου Αθηνών, καθηγήτρια Παγώνα Λάγιου.
Address by Professor Pagona Lagiou, Dean of the School of Health Sciences, National and Kapodistrian University of Athens.
Okay, I have my notes here. I can never compete when it comes to formal addresses with the Vice Rector, or the Rector for that matter. Dear Vice Rector of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens, dear Dean of the School of Medicine, dear Regional Director of the WHO, dear General Secretary of Public Health of the Hellenic Ministry of Health, dear General Secretary of Public Health of Catalonia, distinguished colleagues, distinguished guests, on behalf of the School of Health Sciences, but also of the Coordinating Department of Hygiene, Epidemiology, and Medical Statistics, I would like to welcome you this evening to the Aula Magna of the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. This is not a room that is reserved for every occasion, but only for special occasions, and it gives you an idea of how important prevention and public health is for the National and Kapodistrian University of Athens. I'm not going to try to convince you how dangerous smoking is for health. I'm sure you know the science, and we're relying on you for more updates. I want to take you back in time, in the late 1970s, and for those who do not know it, allow me to inform you that the first study ever on the role of passive smoking on lung cancer risk was conducted at the Department of Hygiene and Epidemiology and Medical Statistics, which I have the privilege to chair, by Professor Dimitrios Trikopoulos. The paper was submitted for publication to the New England Journal of Medicine, and it was rejected by the New England Journal of Medicine. Allow me to read parts of the rejection letter, signed by Drummond Rennie, the deputy editor of the journal. The implications of your findings are enormous. We're talking about 1980. We knew nothing about passive smoking and its role. We believe that you will be proved right, but the editors could not find your arguments persuasive enough to give your manuscript the extremely high priority necessary for acceptance. You will probably tell us once again that we are chicken, okay? no doubt, but I hope you will understand our reluctance to publish your study. The paper was later submitted to the International Journal of Cancer, where it was published in 1981, and it was the first study on passive smoking, which changed completely the way the United States viewed smoking in public places. It influenced legislation. It gave Dimitrios Trichopoulos several awards, including the Julius Richmond Award of the Surgeon General. And it proved that smoking is bad for your health, not only if you are an active smoker, but also if you are a passive smoker. Several decades later, and notwithstanding the accumulating evidence for the deleterious effects of smoking, not only with respect to lung cancer, but with respect to several malignancies, cardiovascular diseases, plus several chronic conditions, we're still battling a tobacco epidemic. We're still talking about tobacco smoking. I'm grateful to Constantine, who managed to gather together exceptional experts around Europe and around the world. We are all looking so much forward to the results of the work of this joint action. And on behalf of the department, but also of the School of Health Sciences of this university, we are here to help in any way we can. Welcome, everyone. Thank you.
Χαιρετισμός από τον πρόεδρο της Ιατρικής Σχολής του Πανεπιστημίου Αθηνών, καθηγητή Νικόλα Ορκαδόπουλο.
Addressed by Professor Nikolaos Arkadopoulos, President of the School of Medicine, National Kapodistrian University of Athens.
Good evening. Dear Vice Rector of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens, dear Dean of the School of Health Sciences, dear Regional Director of WHO, dear Secretary General of the Hellenic Ministry of Health, Secretary of Public Health, dear Secretary of Public Health from the Ministry of Catalonia, delegates, esteemed delegates from the WHO and Europe, I really feel privileged and honored to be with you tonight and welcome you all to the kickoff meeting of the European Common Action for Health Promotion and Disease Prevention. And I have to say that since I represent the Medical School of the University of Athens, I'm very proud that this action is coordinated by our famous Laboratory of Hygiene, Epidemiology, and Medical Statistics. And I want to congratulate the head of the laboratory, Professor Layu, that you heard before me, and of course, Professor Vardavas for the excellent work on this project. We're very proud that they are members of our family in the medical school. Our medical school is not just the oldest, it's 188 years old, but it's also the highest ranking medical school, not just in Greece and Cyprus, but in the whole Balkan and East Mediterranean area. And we're very proud that over the years, we've had famous laboratories and departments that have put a lot of effort and produced groundbreaking work on issues of health promotion and especially smoking. You just heard from Professor Layu the contribution of our late Professor Dimitris Trichopoulos, and I also want to refer to contributions from laboratories of physiology, respiratory physiology that we have in the school, and our departments of pulmonary medicine and cardiovascular medicine that have contributed a lot to the cause of health promotion through smoking cessation. I also want to stress the educational value of meetings like this one. We in the medical school want to bring health promotion at the core of our medical curriculum. We want to train our medical students not just in diagnosing and treating disease, but also in preventing. We want to train them in ways to approach patients, to interact with colleagues and with the society with the aim of contributing to disease prevention and health promotion from whichever position they have during their careers. Meetings like this one are also very helpful for our educational mission at the medical school, and I want to thank you very much for that. With these few words, I want to extend again a very warm welcome to all our guests, especially our foreign guests, and express my best wishes for success to this kick-off meeting. Thank you.
Διαδικτυακός χαιρετισμός από τον επικεφαλή της Τεχνικής Γραμματείας της Σύμβασης Πλαίσιο του Παγκόσμιου Οργανισμού Υγείας για τον έλεγχο του καπνού, Andrew Bag.
Online address by Mr. Andrew Black, Head of the Technical Secretariat of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control.
Distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, greetings from the Secretariat of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, the FCTC. Please accept my apologies for not being able to be with you in person tonight. We're in the last few weeks in the lead up to the FCTC Conference of the Parties, and I need to be in Geneva. So thank you very much for enabling me to be with you remotely. It is nonetheless an enormous pleasure to be invited to join this opening ceremony for the Joint Action on Health Promotion and Disease Prevention, including Smoke and Aerosol-Free Environments Project. From the outset, I send all thanks and congratulations to the European Commission for having the foresight to invest in this joint action, and for the 62 partners from 23 countries involved in the project. You have all of our support and encouragement. Despite encouraging data that tobacco prevalence and the overall number of tobacco users is now on the decline globally, tobacco use remains a persistent barrier to advancing public health across the WHO European region. Europe is now the region with the highest tobacco use prevalence globally, with over 24% of adults using tobacco in 2024. Europe is also the region with the highest tobacco use prevalence by women. Equally of concern is the number of children being attracted to tobacco and nicotine products. According to the WHO, at least 15 million children aged between 13 and 15 years of age are using e-cigarettes. In countries with data, children are on average 9 times more likely to vape than adults. We must be concerned about nicotine addiction among children and the likely consequences from tobacco and nicotine use into their adult lives. I'm glad to see that the joint action has the reduction of non-communicable diseases at its foundation. As you all well know, tobacco use is a leading cause of non-communicable disease, mostly heart and lung disease and cancer. But we also need to remember that tobacco use is a risk factor for communicable diseases as well, including tuberculosis. And we need to remember that all deaths from tobacco use are preventable. Tobacco is also an enormous barrier to sustainable development, given its economic, social, and environmental consequences. Tobacco use is a drain on national economies. The costs of treating people who are sick from tobacco diseases, the costs of smoking breaks, of people falling out of the workforce, and of collecting tobacco-related litter are borne by governments, businesses, and families. While the profits from tobacco and nicotine are enriching the industry, the costs fall to our communities. So the joint action is well designed to support the policy action needed to advance tobacco control. There are substantial benefits to come from this project to public health and wider sustainable development across the European Union. The specific areas for action will also support countries to meet their obligations under the FCTC, which is to be welcomed. And this year, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of the FCTC coming into force. I wish to thank everybody joining this event for your support of this vital international treaty, which brings countries together with a single aim: to tackle the global tobacco epidemic. I wish to acknowledge the importance of supporting enforcement of tobacco control laws and very much welcome this strand of activity within the project. Without compliance building and enforcement, governments cannot expect to meet the policy objectives of their legislation. And please let me make a few remarks about the tobacco industry. There is a fundamental conflict between the interests of the tobacco industry and public health. The tactics of the tobacco industry are well known and well documented. For instance, a 2001 resolution by the World Health Assembly recognised that the tobacco industry has operated for years with the express intention of subverting the role of governments and of WHO in implementing public health policies to combat the tobacco epidemic. As you move ahead with the implementation of the joint action, please be vigilant to interference by the tobacco industry, and please encourage governments to move forward with the full implementation of WHO FCTC Article 5.3. So please let me once again send congratulations from the FCTC Secretariat for this joint action. It's very welcome. We stand shoulder to shoulder with you all to end the tobacco epidemic in Europe. Thank you very much.
Χαιρετισμός από την εκπρόσωπο του Προέδρου της Ελληνικής Κυβέρνησης και Γενική Γραμματέα Δημόσιας Υγείας, Χριστίνα Μαρία Κράβαρη.
Address by Ms. Christina Maria Gravari, representative of the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic and Secretary General for Public Health.
Thank you. Honorable Rector of the Vice Rector of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens, Honorable Dean of the School of Health Sciences of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens, Honorable Secretary General for Public Health of Catalonia, Professor Fernandez, Honorable Professor of the National Kapodistrian University of Athens and Coordinator of Joint Action JA SAFE, Professor Bardavas, Honorable WHO Regional Director for Europe for Prevention and Health Promotion, Dr. Wheeler, Honorable Head of the WHO Office of Quality of Care and Patient Safety in Athens, and representatives of the European Commission and the World Health Organization, dear ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to represent today the Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic at the inaugural meeting of the European Joint Action on Health Promotion and Disease Prevention, held under the auspices of His Excellency, the President of the Hellenic Republic. Today's event does not merely mark the launch of the new European initiative. This meeting is more than a scientific exchange. It is a clear message that the international community seeks common paths through diverse experiences and practices to safeguard the highest of all goods, public health. It is a moment of collective responsibility and shared commitment to strengthening public health with a special focus to the younger generation. The European Joint Action, bringing together 62 competent authorities from 21 EU member states and 2 non-EU countries, represents the largest pan-European initiative in the field of health promotion and disease prevention, with particular emphasis on preventing smoking among young people. This cooperation supports the Europe's Beating Cancer Plan and reflects the Council's recommendation of the European Union on creating smoke-free environments and achieving a tobacco-free Europe by 2040, a goal realistic, ambitious, and above all, essential for the future of young Europeans. Public health today lies at the heart of major European and national policies. The pandemic reminded us that health is not a given. It is the result of preparedness, prevention, and social cohesion. Preventing smoking among youth is not merely a medical issue. It is cultural, social, and profoundly human-centered. Our effort to protect children and adolescents from nicotine addiction, it is an investment in freedom, knowledge, and life. Greece, with consistency and vision, supports a European strategy for a continent free from tobacco. Every public health policy that protects youth, it is a policy that safeguards the future of Europe itself. The state strategy for tobacco control is based on a coherent public health framework fully aligned with the country's international commitments, notably the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, ratified by Law 3420/2005. This framework has been further strengthened by Law 3730/2008, Joint Ministerial Decision 104720/2019, which defines inspection procedures and enforcement authorities, Law 4419/2016, which transposed EU Directive 2014/40/EU, the Law 5041/2023, transposing the Directive on Tobacco Flavouring, and finally Law 5216/2025 on protection from tobacco and alcohol, a landmark for public health in Greece. The strategy focuses on three main pillars: strengthening inspection and enforcement mechanisms of anti-smoking legislation, promoting smoking prevention and cessation through national health system and primary care structures, and raising awareness and educating the public with special attention to adolescents and young adults. Despite clear and strict legislation, the prevalence of smoking remains high, particularly among men and young adults. The reasons are multifactorial: social, cultural, and structural. Within this context, Law 5216/2025 represents a milestone reform. It is a comprehensive legislative intervention that aims not only to reduce smoking rates, but also to position Greece at the forefront of the European and international debate on harm reduction. The new provisions amend Law 3730/2008 to tighten the framework governing the sale and distribution of tobacco and related products, with particular emphasis on protecting minors and preventing their access. These measures were deemed essential given that the prevalence of smoking in Greece, which is 36%, remains significantly higher than the EU average, which is 24%. Globally, there is an alarming rise in the use of nicotine and non-nicotine e-cigarettes among adolescents aged 13 to 15, with some starting vaping as early as 11 years old. Scientific evidence shows that nicotine consumption at these ages causes harmful effects on brain development, impairing cognitive function, attention, and short-term memory. Because the adolescent brain is not yet fully developed, it is especially vulnerable to addiction. Therefore, restricting minors' access to tobacco and related products, it is a fundamental prerequisite to achieving the objectives of Europe's Beating Cancer Plan, to reduce the proportion of smokers in the EU from 24% to 5% by 2040, and to transition to a tobacco-free generation. Greece continues its determined fight against tobacco and nicotine. Since 2019, our tobacco control policy has been grounded in evidence-based data and rigorous scientific assessment of emerging nicotine products and their relative risks. As a result, Greece recorded the second largest reduction in smoking prevalence in the EU during 2020 to 2023, according to the EU Barometer, a clear sign of realistic policymaking and commitment to public health protection. However, the new law goes beyond prohibitions. It creates a comprehensive framework that it integrates prevention, protection, deterrence, and control. All new tobacco products, electronic cigarettes, refill containers, and herbal products are now fully aligned with traditional tobacco regulations, closing legislative gaps. There are no more gray areas. All products are subject to strict rules of supervision, sale, and distribution. The law also establishes a strict ban on the sale and supply of tobacco and nicotine products to minors, as well as on sales by minors. Retailers are now legally required to verify the consumer's age using physical or digital ID. For the first time, criminal liability is introduced for violations of sales prohibitions involving minors, with severe penalties and deterrent fines. Inspections are reinforced through digital monitoring tools, ensuring transparency and immediacy. For the first time, Greece introducing specific regulations for heated tobacco products and nicotine substitutes. Our country adopts a clear stance, a total ban on sales to minors, prohibition of vending machine sales, and strict marketing and circulation rules. Oversight is strengthened by a robust enforcement mechanism, ensuring that Greece is not only aligns with EU standards, but also enriches them with a dynamic regulatory model. The National Public Health Organization has been institutionally reinforced. It now monitors the EU Common Entry Gate, supervises the market of tobacco and nicotine products, and manages adverse event reports, equipping Greece with the tools to ensure effective implementation. What truly distinguishes the new law is its focus on protecting young people. Science is clear. Most smokers begin before the age of 18, those who do not rarely start later. Protecting minors, therefore, means protecting the entire generations. Greece adopts zero tolerance toward the exposure of minors to tobacco, nicotine, and alcohol. The message is clear. Our youth deserve environments free from addiction and harm. This is not only a moral obligation, it is a strategic choice for our society's future. Law 5216/2025 is a milestone, but not the end of the journey. Continuous monitoring, measurable outcomes, evaluation, and educations are needed. Campaigns must reach every school, every neighborhood, every family. Digital tools for age verification and reporting violations must be expanded, and international cooperation must deepen since the tobacco and nicotine market is global. Our vision is clear: a Greece with fewer smokers, better awareness, and new generations free from addiction. A Greece that leads by example, a country that innovates, not imitates. This year marks 20 years since the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control entered into force. Greece was among the first signatories that has remained steadfast in supporting global efforts to curb tobacco use. The commemorative WHO Europe report presented today is both an account of achievements and a call to vigilance. The fight against tobacco is far from over. The success of this joint action will deepen on the cooperation of states, institutions, and citizens. No country can face the challenges of prevention and behavioral change alone. Knowledge sharing, joint training of health professionals, and the engagement of civil society are the foundations of this European endeavor. Ladies and gentlemen, Law 5216/2025 marks the beginning of a new era. At the Ministry of Health, the dedicated efforts of the Deputy Minister, Mr. Varjopoulos, and the Directorate General for Public Health demonstrate that Greece has both the will and the capacity to implement policies that protect youth, strengthen the health system, and place public health above all. Our country acts as not in isolation, but as part of a global community, united by the same concern and the same goal: a future free from the devastating effects of smoking. In a world that bombards young people with confusion, contradictory models, and commercialized desires, public health must serve as a compass, speaking with clarity, evidence, and humanity. We must say it plainly: smoking is not an innocent rite of passage to adulthood. It is a gateway to risk, one we can and must keep close to minors. It is the most ethical and effective form of health policy. For every young person who avoids harmful habits, we build a stronger and more human society. The Europe of 2040 we envision, it is a continent without tobacco, without addiction, with informed, responsible, and healthy citizens, a Europe that invests in prevention, protects its youth, and treats the health not as a privilege, but as a fundamental right. Greece stands fully committed to this grand alliance for health with political will, scientific integrity, and unwavering faith in human dignity. Because prevention is not just policy, it's a mark of civilization. And public health, it's not merely a state obligation, it is an expression of respect for humanity and for the future. Our commitment is clear, public health above all. Thank you very much.
Χαιρετισμός από το Γενικό Γραμματέα Δημόσιας Υγείας της Καταλωνίας, καθηγητή Esteve Fernandez.
Address by Professor Esteve Fernandez, Secretary General for Public Health of Catalonia.
Good evening. First of all, I want to, to the opportunistically shortening the first salutations, saying, dear academic and political authorities, dear all, and dear colleagues in the room. Opportunistically because I wanted to emphasize that I'm meeting here also with several colleagues and friends, and perhaps more importantly, also knowing new people, people who right now I don't know. And I believe that this is one of the added values of the joint action, to put together people from different countries, from different institutions, to work together to accomplish the objectives. Said this, I believe that it's very important to continue the way of the joint actions started several years ago. The first one on tobacco control led by Professor Panagiotis and colleagues from also Professor Vardavas, and continued by joint action on tobacco control 2, the second one, that was very important. I wanted to remark this because I was involved in those joint actions as an academic myself before shifting to a different area as political and technical and policy making. But I believe that the way is almost done, but not completely done. And a new joint action on NCDs and specifically on smoke and aerosol-free environments is more than needed. I want also to remark why I am happy because we are using the new acronym SAFE, Smoke and Aerosol-Free Environments, that was coined during the second joint action on tobacco control. And this was one of the success of the joint action, not only this, of course, but also the report of the European Commission on smoke-free environments with the new revolution taking these smoke and aerosol-free environments from inside to outdoors, to smoke, to open areas. So we have several things to continue. I believe that this joint action will continue this way. It's a great effort from the European Commission to fund this and others joint actions, of course, to put together all these teams from almost 50 countries or 60 countries. 50 teams from several dozens of countries. So it is a great opportunity to put science in the basement of the decisions we have to take. Basements for evidence-based decisions on interventions for health promotion, for prevention of non-communicable diseases, and of course, evidence-based legislation. Evidence-based legislation not only at the regional or the national level, but more importantly, even at the European Union level with the new Tobacco Products Directive. I believe that all of you who are here, all the people who is not here, but will be involved in different work packages, different objectives, different tasks of the joint action will contribute to this end. I believe we are at the kickoff meeting of a new action that will bring success and more tobacco control, tobacco and other products control, also alcohol, and at the end, the prevention of NCDs in Europe and beyond. Thank you very much.
Ομιλία από τον επίκουρο καθηγητή της Ιατρικής Σχολής του Πανεπιστημίου Αθηνών και συντονιστή της Κοινής Δράσης J-Safe, κύριο Κωνσταντίνο Βαρδαβά, με θέμα σύντομη παρουσίαση της Κοινής Δράσης J-Safe.
Speech by Assistant Professor Konstantin Vardavas, Medical School, National Kapodistran University of Athens, and Coordinator of the Joint Action J-Safe for the topic Brief Presentation of the Joint Action J-Safe.
Good evening, dear Vice Rector, dear Dean of the School of Health Sciences, dear Dean of the School of Medicine, dear Secretary General for Public Health of Greece, Secretary General of Catalonia, Steph Fernandez, Dr. Gudoviller, of course, from WHO, representatives from WHO, the European Commission, HADEA, DG Sante, Professor Bechrakis, of course, and representatives from the secondary education of the Prefecture of Attica. Welcome. Colleagues, in this short presentation, I'll give an overview of the joint action, what we're doing, what we're planning, and where we're going from now onwards. If we're to go one step back and look at what are the risk factors, what are the risk factors for death and disability in Europe, globally. If we look at the main points, smoking for countries that are in the European region remains the number one primary risk factor for loss of life, death, and disability. So where does the European Commission come into this? We see that 80% of the burden of all diseases in Europe are non-communicable diseases. That's the majority of premature deaths, and of course they reduce quality of life, they cost the healthcare system, they cost families, they cost loved ones. So there are two pillars, or two primary pillars for non-communicable disease prevention at the European level: the Healthier Together non-EU and non-communicable diseases initiative, and the European Beaten Cancers Plan. So how do these two get together to support? First of all, we know the Healthier Together EU non-communicable disease initiative covers primary health determinants, including an unhealthy diet, physical inactivity, air pollution, but very importantly for today's joint action, tobacco use and the harmful effects of alcohol use. So all these together, though, come under 5 umbrellas of 5 strands of this this disease initiative. Health determinants, which we have the honor and privilege to be coordinating here and together as partners working towards this direction, the health determinants of health promotion and disease prevention at the European level. Diabetes, of course, cardiovascular disease, chronic respiratory disease, and mental health and neurological disease. Of course, cancer is covered by the Beating Cancers Plan. But one of the 5 pillars is represented in the room today with your energy and your passion towards this joint action. On the other side, the second main pillar is Europe's Beating Cancer Plan, where prevention plays a key role in this entire plan from the beginning and its approach at every single stage. So in comes the 2024 EU Health Work Programme, which was designed and organized by the European Commission, which I'd like to thank for their funding and their support in these activities. And we have the birth of, from Joint Action 1, co-led by Professor Bechrakis, Joint Action 2, Joint Action 3, which is the Joint Action on Smoke and Aerosol-Free Environments. It's an expansion. 62 partners, including competent authorities, ministries of health from European member states, academia, organizations from 23 countries, 21 EU member states and 2 non-EU member states, which we welcome into the family of J-Safe to work together over the next 4 years on these activities. We'd like to have a total budget of 16 million euros, which is really a flagship initiative for tobacco control in the history, I think, of the European Union's funding programs, for a duration of 4 years to work together. And of course, we must acknowledge the co-funding of the European Commission, but also the co-funding from the national budgets of each member state. So the coordination is led by myself and the directorship of Professor Paronolaou, which we had the honor of hearing the importance of tobacco control in the history of the School of Medicine. A very short overview of the horizontal work packages and a bit more depth in the other ones. Work Package 1 coordination is led by the National Kapodistrian University of Athens. It's an honor and a pleasure to help steer together as a partner, as a colleague, and as a friend this initiative for the next 4 years. We're very lucky to have Gokvi from Hungary with very strong key communication, dissemination, communication actions. One of the important, of course, which is we already have an official LinkedIn and websites page, so we can follow that already. I'd like to thank them already. Within 10 days of the signing of the grant agreement, we're already active in the field. The third work package, of course, is led by Latvia with regards to the evaluation, because if you can't benchmark where you're going, you don't know where you're going. So I'd like to thank them. And of course, ISS from Italy with regards to ensuring sustainability. Work is great, but projects finish. What happens after? So what are the key thematic pillars of these? The key thematic pillars of the joint action are smoke and aerosol-free environments, as mentioned before, preventing alcohol-related harm. This is a very novel aspect, alcohol use. Smoking cessation, steps toward a tobacco-free generation, and of course, health promotion, disease prevention in Europe. So shortly, let me go into these ones. The main scope of Work Package 5, led by the Catalan Institute of Oncology. I'd like to thank them for their partnership so many years in these activities and their leadership. If we were to look outdoor exposure to the European region, why there's this big need? We see there's still a significant exposure of children in places where they should not be exposed to secondhand smoke and second aerosol. This is data from the Eurobarometer indicating in 2023 the extent of such exposure. We think that traditional smoking is over. We think that it's the newer products that are only on the market, but we must remember tobacco control starts from the beginning. 1 in 5 is still exposed to secondhand smoking in indoor places, and 2 in 5 report indoor exposure to heated tobacco products at a European level. That is a cause of concern. But of course, while there's evidence to show there's the extent of exposure, there's also evidence of population support. You have the evidence, you have the population support, you can then be able to courageously move ahead with political will, when you have political willingness to move for policy implementation. So there's strong support for banning the use of e-cigarettes and heated tobacco products where smoking is prohibited. So in Work Package 5, one of the key aspects, as noted in the Council recommendation by von der Leyen, was to look at areas where children play, where children live, schools, secondary education, primary education, schools, playgrounds, cafes, bars, other places where there may be exposure, and then to support, use this data for real-world evidence. The same way in medicine we have clinical-based decision-making, we should have evidence-based tobacco control. A very important work package, and it's an honor to have also alcohol in this joint action, as alcohol harm is a very key point of Europe's Beating Cancer Plan. Social media. We'll be proceeding with, led by Finland, we'll be proceeding with mapping, assessing alcohol marketing, social media to youth. We're all very familiar with how social media is used as a tool for promoting alcohol experimentation and tobacco experimentation. Very importantly, and in close collaboration with schools, with secondary education, with primary education, to pilot innovative approaches for reducing alcohol use with school interventions to school children and in communities. The seventh work package led by Denmark, Danish College, is smoking cessation. We have smoking prevalence. An excellent example was taught to me by Professor Bechrakis that smoking is a bucket. You have a number of taps, the tap that fills with the prevalence of smokers and the tap that you want to increase the number of people that are quitting smoking. So smoking cessation is an integral part of tobacco control. And in this aspect, we'll be assessing smoke and aerosol-free environments in hospitals and healthcare settings. It'd be very inappropriate for a healthcare provider to be counseling on smoking cessation while the hospital has secondhand smoke or the healthcare provider themselves is a smoker, and that is something that we need to address. So we'll be integrating promising and best practice for smoking cessation. I think one of the very important work packages, of course, is the creation of a tobacco-free generation. It's led by the National Kapodistrian University of Athens. How can we go for a tobacco-free generation where less than 5% of adolescents in Europe are smokers? This looks for two aspects: forward-looking tobacco control measures, endgame measures, school interventions, but more importantly, tactics used by the tobacco industry to enhance product uptake by youth, as mentioned by WHO in both this year, 2025, and 2026, World No Tobacco Days. showing the importance of this aspect. And of course, this would not be complete without supporting the evidence through cohort studies, but more importantly, through school interventions. Και θα ήθελα να ευχαριστήσω και τη δευτεροβάθμια που είναι εδώ σήμερα για να υποστηρίξουμε και την ανάγκη για παρεμβάσεις στην δευτεροβάθμια εκπαίδευση. I just want to thank the secondary education for being also in the room today and the interest in this topic. So school-based interventions, community-based interventions at the school level, excellent activities stepping on the shoulders of giants like the Smoke-Free Greece project that was started, for instance, by Professor Bechrakis a few years ago. Finally, the last work package of the joint action is to try and bring this all together. How can we support these best and promising practices and NCD prevention across the member states? And this is done through the regulation of tobacco product flavors and ingredients, as mentioned by the Secretary General, the evaluate and monitor policy plans at the member state level, and develop promising practices for the prevention of non-communicable diseases. So to wrap up this presentation, none of this could be done by one member state. None of this can be done by one group. It is only collectively that together we can combat tobacco and alcohol use in Europe. And I would like to welcome you to the Joint Action Smoke and Aerosol Environments. Thank you very much.
Ομιλία από τον Περιφερειακό Διευθυντή Ευρώπης για την Πρόληψη και Προαγωγή Υγείας, Παγκόσμιος Οργανισμός Υγείας, Dr. Guido Weiler, με θέμα 2 δεκαετίες εφαρμογής της Σύμβασης Πλαίσιο του ΠΟΗ για τον έλεγχο του καπνού στην Ευρωπαϊκή Ένωση, πρόοδος και προκλήσεις.
Speech by the Director for Europe for Prevention and Health Promotion, World Health Organization, Dr. Guido Weiler, on the topic, 2 decades of implementation of the World Health Organization Framework Convention on Tobacco Control in the European Union, Progress and Challenges.
Dear Madam Vice Rector, dear Dean of the School of Public Health Sciences, and dear Dean of the School of Medicine, dear Secretary General for Public Health of Greece, Secretary General for Public Health of Catalonia, Professor Vardavas, colleagues, friends. Thank you very much for inviting me and us to this important event today in this very historic hall. It is a real honor to be here amongst representatives from EU member states, partners from civil society, academia, and the public health community. This year marks a significant milestone, as has been said, the 20th anniversary of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control entering into force. It gives us a moment both to reflect on progress, but also to look ahead at how we can strengthen European cooperation even further in the years to come. First, I would like to acknowledge the European Union's long-standing leadership in tobacco control. The EU played a principled role during the negotiations of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control and was amongst the first to sign the treaty on the very day it opened, on 16th of June 2003. The EU's commitment is both political and institutional. The European Union and all 27 EU member states are parties to the Framework Convention. And with respect to the protocol to eliminate illicit trade in tobacco products, the EU, together with 19 member states, has also joined as a party. This broad participation demonstrates a shared responsibility and collective will to advance the treaty's objectives. Over the past 2 decades, the EU has built a strong and evolving regulatory framework, continuously adapting to new evidence and challenges. Beginning with the Tobacco Advertising Directive and the Council recommendation on the FCTC, the EU later advanced key measures on smoke-free environments and taxation, followed by the 2014 Tobacco Products Directive, which remains a cornerstone of regulation. Recent developments, including Europe's Beating Cancer Plan and the directive removing exemptions from heated tobacco products, and the Council recommendation on smoke and aerosol-free environments further strengthened this foundation. Looking ahead, the revisions of the Tobacco Products Directive, the Tobacco Taxation Directive, and the Tobacco Advertising Directive will provide important opportunities to reinforce and modernize EU tobacco control. So, 20 years after the FCTC, the EU has much to be proud of. Over the past decade, tobacco use amongst adults aged 15 plus declined from 30.8% in 2010 to 26.5% in 2022. This progress is reflected in health outcomes. Tobacco attributable deaths declined from 587,000 in 2010 to 541,000 in 2022. Dailies lost to tobacco fell from 16.5 million to 14.8 million. Importantly, member states are on track to meet the NCD gap target, 7 of them exactly, of 30% reduction in tobacco use by 2025. The EU has also demonstrated leadership beyond its borders, shaping global discussions at COP and promoting strong evidence-based implementation. Within the region, EU directives support harmonized standards, while several member states have even gone further by introducing, for example, plain packaging and other advanced measures. Cross-country learning, research investment, and joint actions remain major strengths. Together, these efforts sustain momentum towards the vision of a tobacco-free generation. Despite steady declines, tobacco use in the EU remains higher, as we've already heard, than both regional and global averages, with large variation between member states. Prevalence ranges from as low as 16.2% in Denmark to 39.5% in Bulgaria, reminding us that progress is uneven and support must continue. Youth smoking trends are mostly encouraging, but not uniformly. In some countries, declines have stalled, and in a few, increased since 2019. This underscores the need for continued prevention efforts and targeted action. And here you can see the slide that went ahead with this. While 7 member states are on track to achieve the NCD gap target, the EU as a whole, unfortunately, is not. The region is projected to reach a 14.1% reduction, much short of the 30% goal, indicating that progress, though real, is insufficient. Continued impact. Tobacco continues to have substantial health, economic, and environmental impacts. In 2023, tobacco caused approximately 535,000 deaths in the EU, including 78,000 among non-smokers exposed to secondhand smoke. Beyond health, tobacco drains national economies and contributes significantly to environmental pollution, particularly through cigarette filter waste. The tobacco landscape is quickly changing. We now see a rapid growth of new nicotine and tobacco products, particularly e-cigarettes, nicotine pouches, and heated tobacco. Many countries still don't have full regulatory frameworks in place to address these products, and the industry is moving very fast, especially in how it markets those items. Its strategies are clearly aimed at attracting a new generation of users. Many of them have never smoked before. Many of these products are designed for discrete, constant use. E-cigarettes can look like USB sticks, cosmetics, or even everyday clothing with built-in vaping devices. Nicotine pouches are packed to be small, easy to hide, and easy to use anywhere. We are also seeing products that resemble items associated with childhood. Candies, drinks, toys, which lower perceptions of harm and increases curiosity amongst children and teenagers. A major driver of youth appeal is flavoring. E-cigarettes alone offer tens of thousands of flavors. Flavors make the product seem less harmful and more enjoyable, increasing experimentation and early addiction. So the way these products are designed and marketed is not accidental. They are very clearly targeted to young people. And we see results of this in the data. Amongst the 15 to 16-year-olds, daily or near daily e-cigarette use has increased from only 2.7% in 2019 to nearly 9% 5 years later. In some countries, such as Poland, rates are much higher, at around 20%. Current use, defined as use in the past 30 days, now reaches 22% amongst adolescents. By comparison, only 3% of adults use e-cigarettes. In almost half of EU countries, adolescents are using e-cigarettes at levels 5 times higher than adults. And importantly, e-cigarettes are widely accessible. Over 60% of young people say they are easy or very easy to get. We are observing a similar trend with regard to nicotine pouches. Use amongst adults increased from only 0.3% in 2021 to 4% 2 years later. But amongst youth, the levels are even higher, around 10 to 12% in Bulgaria and Sweden. So again, we are seeing fast uptake amongst younger populations. To address the current patterns in tobacco use, it is essential that countries continue implementing the Empower package, the core set of measures that translates the WHO FCTC into practice. Progress across the EU has been strong overall, but there are important gaps. This figure shows how implementation has evolved since 2007. We see meaningful advances, but also areas where progress has slowed or stalled. Only one member state, the Netherlands, currently meet the highest level for all Empower measures. Ireland, Slovenia, and Spain are just one measure away. Monitoring systems and health warnings are strong across the EU, and several countries have advanced to plain packaging. However, taxation remains inconsistent, and in many places, cigarettes are actually becoming more affordable over time. Smoke-free laws and advertising bans are often partial, and strong national media campaigns are still rare. Regulation of e-cigarettes also varies significantly. Most countries have partial indoor use bans, but only a few have full smoke-free and aerosol-free legislation. Health warnings are mandatory across all member states, but plain packaging is adopted only by a few countries. Advertising restrictions are uneven. About half of member states align e-cigarette marketing restrictions with those for tobacco, while others have partial regulation in place. Flavor policies range from complete bans to targeted restrictions, and many countries have no flavor regulation at all. Many countries tax e-liquids, but tax levels are generally low. 2 countries, Belgium and France, have now taken a step further and banned disposable e-cigarettes. One persistent barrier across all areas of tobacco control is interference from the tobacco industry. Industry continues to challenge, delay, and weaken policies that are designed to protect health. Legal challenges are one of the most common tools. Policies such as plain packaging, smoke-free environments, flavor bans, and advertising restrictions are frequently contested in court. The examples shown here are only a few. Many cases are ongoing today across the EU. Despite challenges, we have a strong foundation in the FCTC, strong evidence and proven models. The opportunity to accelerate progress is here and now, and the cost of delay is measured in lives. We share a common call and common responsibility to accelerate full implementation of the FCTC in the EU to protect young people from addiction to nicotine and tobacco products. There is strong capacity to act, to close legislative gaps with bold future-proof measures, strengthen implementation and compliance, including through the JA SAFE, sustain monitoring and surveillance, and protect policymaking from industry interference. This requires joint commitment and coordinated action at EU, national, and local levels. Today, we launch our joint report with JA Prevent and CDs called 2 Decades of the Implementation of the WHO FCTC in the European Union, Progress, Challenges, and the Road Ahead. And you will see the QR code on the slide that provides direct access. This publication provides an overview of the current state of tobacco control in the EU, outlining trends in prevalence, key legislative milestones, implementation of the Empower package, and EU-supported collaboration and research. It also examines persistent challenges, including industry interference and regulatory gaps related to emerging products. We hope that this document will not only show the status, but also inspire future action. In closing, let me congratulate you for the launch of JA SAFE in its reborn branding and its 3rd iteration. This new EU-funded project, connecting 22 countries and over 60 partners, is an excellent opportunity to take tobacco control to the next level in the EU. Please let me all reassure you that WHO stands ready to contribute to saving lives and spending less. My colleagues and I look forward to working closely together with the project team and all its partners to realize our joint dream of a tobacco-free future. Thank you very much.
Ακολουθεί μουσικοδρόμενο με το γυναικείο χοροδιακό σύνολο «Κόρες».
A musical performance will follow featuring the female choral ensemble Chorus.
Ακολουθεί δεξίωση στο Πολιτιστικό Κέντρο Κωστής Παλαμάς του Πανεπιστημίου Αθηνών.
A reception will follow at the Kostis Palamas Cultural Center of our university. Thank you all for your presence.
Yeah, please, all the partners come.